There will never be a Nintendo Switch Pro. Sorry. Hey collectors, Anthony from HNE here, and I'm going to tell you about Nintendo's philosophy when it comes to a Nintendo Switch Pro. Frankly, there will never be one. If you want to know what makes me such an expert, just check out my LinkedIn profile. The hype around the rumored Nintendo Switch Pro has gotten to the point of annoyance. I have told fellow YouTubers Spawnwave and Woodhawker via social media that there will never be a Nintendo Switch Pro. They keep perpetuating a false narrative in the desire to get views on videos. If they had thought themselves journalists, they have gone too far deviated from that path. Nintendo's philosophy is simple. Calling something pro instantly alienates. This reduces the likelihood of casual players participating and reduces sales. Nintendo released the Pro controllers because they knew what the product's audience would be primarily composed of, which is fighting game players. While people could still use the Joy-Con to play those games, this allows players the preference of having a Pro-style controller. Have you ever gone to a Best Buy, Target, or Walmart to find a low supply Joy-Con and stacks of Pro controllers? That is because families typically buy a single deluxe Switch and purchases additional Joy-Con or two per family member. They may also buy powered or unpowered Joy-Con grips for each set of Joy-Con. For going Joy-Con drift, Joy-Con have a limited useful life, and as a result, people may buy multiple Joy-Con controllers during the Switch's life. Nintendo releases the alternately decorated versions to appeal to collectors who may not have otherwise purchased additional Joy-Con. Everything is about appealing to the lucrative casual market that Microsoft and Sony have almost entirely ignored. Although I must admit that Microsoft is making some strides with its recent acquisitions. Thinking about the use of the word pro, I can toss a few examples to help you get into the Nintendo mindset. Remember back when Microsoft Windows had professional versions? They were marketed as the version for businesses with added features at a higher price. I still have never purchased a computer with a professional version of Windows pre-installed, and with the add-on applications being a thing now, I no longer see a place for a professional version of Windows, and I've had Windows going back like Windows 3.1. Moving on to Sony and the PlayStation 4 Pro. It was a mid-generational half-step that improved its overall processing speed. You did not have to have one, at least not until Cyberpunk 2077 anyway. Otherwise, all of the previous PlayStation 4 hardware and software were compatible. Who bought a PlayStation 4 Pro? Those that consider themselves a pro-level gamer. Microsoft had the Xbox One. Then they released a Pro version known as the Xbox One X as their mid-generational half-step, thus making the original the Xbox One S. They then took the additional step to release the Xbox One S without a disk drive, with a mid-generational revision to appeal to the casual ground. Heck, the basic bundle of all the Xbox One S all digital came with Microsoft Fortnite and Sea of Thieves. What about revisions? Microsoft and Sony have done revisions in the past. Microsoft first released the Xbox 360 without a hard drive, then sold them with the console later on. Thinking about the PlayStation 3, it started with two backward-compatible models, the 20 and 60 gig systems. Eventually, they forwent the backwards compatibility and increased disk space with future revisions. Going back to Nintendo, they have been known to do mid-generational refreshes. Remember the new Nintendo 3DS? Otherwise, we have seen a Switch revision with a better battery and slightly improved processor. Go back even further with the revisions of the NES and SNES. The NES was now a top loader and the SNES was sleeker. Both were a little bit faster but lost a little compatibility with some software. What is next for the Nintendo Switch? The new Nintendo Switch. I do not know anything about the specifications beyond the rumor mill among my fellow departmental employees. I know that development has been delayed by over a year because of various shortages. From what I've heard, there are some proposed specifications, and I'm going to list them for you. A larger handheld screen. The overall size of the screen will be the same size, but the resolution will be better. They're saying 1080p. possibly OLED, and the bezels will thus be smaller. A larger dock with additional ports and a subgraphical processor with active cooling, because right now the dock has passive cooling. A faster processor with 1440p capability and possibly able to upres to 4K. Do not let people fool you into the idea of a Nintendo Switch Pro. Nintendo is not competing with Microsoft or Sony. Nintendo knows their place in the market, and it is with families. Adding a Pro to the game console's name incites a competitive turn towards the Microsoft and Sony upper-end consoles. I'm not saying that Nintendo may not want to compete against Sony, Microsoft, or whomever in the future, but right now they don't need to. Either way, expect the newest version of the Nintendo Switch, no matter what it's called, to be released around when The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 will be. That has been the plan since the start of development. Let me know your new Nintendo Switch predictions or dream specifications in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. One Up on Cancer is a nonprofit powered by gamers. It is a gaming community-based nonprofit 501c3 organization dedicated to direct financial assistance for adults in the United States undergoing cancer treatment. Simply put, if you or someone you know is an adult in the United States that has cancer treatment bills, One Up on Cancer wants to help. They do this by opening quarterly application windows where patients can apply for funds. If approved, One Up on Cancer will request the patient's medical bills and pay the doctors directly. One Up on Cancer raises funds via direct donations through their website while attending events and live streaming online. More information can be found on their website at oneuponcancer.org. That is the number 1 followed by uponcancer.org.